Yeah. Okay. So let's now continue building the campaign. So building our advertising plan, so to speak. So we know that we have to set the goal. So out of your triangle, and we know that, I mean, everybody is different, of course, but what I would like to focus on is sales and also ACOS, and doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as we are doing it steady and then we are making progress. That's what would make sense. So if I was doing that, and then we do our research and we set the goal. So how do we plan the rest? Because I heard you mention there are two buckets, right, for
Yeah.
keywords. So walk us through the rest of designing the campaign.
Perfect. So, especially if you're focusing on growth, sales growth, and ACOS, I think this is a pretty straightforward example of what I like to call the search term isolation strategy. So you can look it up, read about it in more detail. I'll walk through some of the main principles here today. So first step is to really make sure that you're grouping your products together correctly. So if we look at the semantic map that we're going to build, we have a page, think of it like an Excel document, and we have a different page for each product. And we're going to start building campaigns in our strategy around each product or group of products. So first step is to analyze your catalog, figure out which products might be searched for with similar keywords, figure out which ones should be grouped together, which ones should stay separate. There's a lot of nuance here. It can really just depend on how big your catalog is, how similar your products are, how many of them you have, etc. So make sure you're grouping them correctly, or at least in a way that makes logical sense based on how what your campaigns are trying to do, which is to capture search volume. So that's step number one. Step number two would be to create the structure of or to plan out the structure of your campaigns. So we're going to start with research. What does that mean? Well, it depends on where you're at. If you have a lot of history in your account, let's say you've been advertising for a year already, those research campaigns would start with the foundation of all of the search term data that you have in your account. So go download the search term report for all of your ad types, get as much history as you can. By default, Amazon's probably going to limit you to 60 or 90 days unless you've been capturing that data elsewhere. And immediately start to group all of the converting search terms. So filter it out, they have to have made one sale, and then start populating your semantic map at the product level and the other sheet. So this way, your first campaign that you launch for each product is going to contain all of the converting search terms that you already know exist for that product. So you're off to a much better start. If you're a brand new seller, you've never advertised before, and this is your first campaign setup, we're going to start with a pretty broad approach. You're going to take your auto campaign and you're going to let it run. You're going to maybe do some preemptive negative targeting, add some negative keywords if you know or have a feeling that there's going to be some confusion. Certain categories are obvious like that. Maybe it's like you sell Bluetooth headphones and you want to negate wired headphones as an example. Start with an auto campaign, and in your research campaign, since you don't have any existing search term data, there's a number of ways you can approach it. If you want to be like super strict, I'm going to just go get real data before I add any keywords to my campaign, you would leave it blank and wait for your auto campaign to start generating sales. But what I typically do is start with a few seed keywords. So these can be intrinsically found by yourself, just intuitively, like how would somebody search for this water bottle? Well, they might type in water bottle. Or you can use tools like Helium 10 and Jungle Scout. There's a number of keyword research tools to get you started. But the point is to start with the smallest number of keywords possible, because you haven't tested them. You don't know if they're going to convert. You just think they might.